Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's ZYTO Wellness webinar series. My name is Jeff Crabb. I'm the Director of Marketing here at ZYTO, and we're excited to welcome you here today with us. We have a great presentation with Tina Carter, who will share a little bit about supporting your biliary system for better health. So if you're here live with us, we're excited that you were able to join us. If you're watching this after the fact, we hope you can join us next time. But the content is all here. It's going to be awesome. Tina spent a lot of time putting this together, and it'll be very educational. We're excited that everyone's here. I wanted to start off, I don't know how many of you guys have heard, but we have had about 6 events so far globally for what we are calling the ZYTO regional events. These are phenomenal events that have been widely appreciated all around the globe. We've been a ton of different places, and on your screen you can actually see 6 additional locations where we will be in the coming months to wrap up the year 2019. In a few days we will be in Washington, D.C. and actually shoot over to Europe for a few events. And then we'll round out the rest of the year with an event in Indianapolis here in the United States, as well as Las Vegas. So if you haven't had the chance to attend one of our ZYTO regional events, I'd highly encourage you to be there with us. These are training events, so it's very much bring your questions, and it's an interactive experience. It's an all-day event. They're free to attend. And it's a lot of fun to interact with like-minded practitioners, ask questions. It's very engaging. It's a great networking opportunity to get familiar with people that are in your area that own ZYTO technology, and share, and pass information around, and how people are using ZYTO technology to build their business, to help find wellness solutions. It's a really great opportunity. So make sure you take a look. Go to ZYTO.com and you can learn more information and actually register there. Like I said, it's free to attend, but you do need to register online. I hope everyone has also heard about our 2019 Wellness Challenge. We've kicked it off. We've had about 4 or 5 months now of really some awesome experiences. This is a challenge that was initiated a few years ago for ZYTO employees to participate in. And recently we decided to introduce that to our ZYTO customer base as well. And so what it is we encourage people to live active lifestyles, to enjoy the world and their surroundings. And so it's super easy to participate in, and we hope that it encourages you to have really neat experiences and share that with us. You'll see on the screen there the simple instructions of how to participate, how to get involved. And at each month, during this wellness webinar, we will announce the winner of a drawing where we have, in the past, we've done gift cards. We've done, this month you'll see right here, we are actually going to be giving away a Fitbit Charge 3. So we'll be announcing the winner at the end of today's webinar for participating. And actually next month, our prize for participation is going to be Apple AirPods. So these are just things we like to give back. We want to create energy in this community about wellness. We obviously can't help anyone if we're not willing to help ourselves first, and that's kind of the philosophy that we're basing that on. And so we just encourage you to engage with us. Here at ZYTO, we've been doing it as employees, and there's just a lot of really fun things that we've been able to do. So make sure you take a picture of yourself doing an outdoor activity, email that picture to marketing@zyto.com, and then be sure to post that to Facebook or Instagram using the hashtag ZYTO Wellness Challenge that you'll see there on the screen. And if you want to learn more, visit zyto.com/wellness-challenge. Has all the details there about how to participate as well. But we hope to see some fun pictures here in the next few weeks to hopefully win some AirPods for you. I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but we wanted to share a little bit about some of the purposes and reasons why ZYTO has been so committed to doing these monthly wellness webinars. We want to provide useful information for health professionals and enthusiasts, people that just want to learn more, expand their knowledge base. We want to share unique perspectives from experts, so we've tried to incorporate a lot of different variety. From anything from men's health to dental issues, and this has been a really valuable experience for a lot of our users to see how ZYTO technology can really be molded around different philosophies and thought processes. We wanted to hear how the experts, you guys, utilize these tools in their practices or business, and also we wanted to create community obviously, we have a host here with Tina today that will be able to share a little bit more about her, and she's made herself available for FAQs and things like that as well. So without further ado, I just wanted to take some time to introduce Tina. Tina is a phenomenal individual. I actually had the privilege of meeting Tina a couple of years ago in her practice down in Florida, just outside of Orlando. She is the owner of Claremont Herb Shop and Day Spa. She has a doctorate of naturopathy. She's a master herbalist. She is a certified natural health professional, as well as a certified aromatherapist and health coach. She has a phenomenal business, which I think she'll share a little bit about that. And over the last couple of years, it seems, as we were talking earlier today, that has grown. So Tina, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for being with us here today. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell us a little bit, Tina. I'd love to learn a little bit more about kind of your first introduction to ZYTO, as well as how your business has been able to grow over the last, I believe, 20 years you've been in business, correct?
Yeah, we're going into our 20th year in downtown Claremont. We just moved last year, actually. We left downtown and we're just around the corner, but we moved up onto the main road. I was able to get a new building. Actually, it's an old building. It was 1920s old house, and we renovated it. And it's been phenomenal for us. It gave us a lot more exposure. We were able to get more space. We've grown tremendously since then. So we're real excited to have the move and then also be celebrating our 20th year in Claremont.
And you offer, at least when I was down there, and I know that you've probably grown since then, you offer, like, what are some of the services that you offer in your business?
We have a day spa, which we offer massages and facials, and most of our massages are more therapeutic. So we do sports massage, deep tissue, we have lymphatic, reflexology, and we do the basic ones also, but we also have been incorporating, we do aromatherapy, so we have aromatherapy blends that we do. We have different ones that we can bring in some aromatherapy. And then on our face, for estheticians, our facial realm, we use Eminence organic skincare. So we only use all organic skincare line, and we have different therapies for that. And then in the shop, we carry a full line of herbal supplements. I do a lot of detox programs with individuals. I do consulting, so I will have people come in and we do very customized programs for them. So kind of a full realm of all kinds of things. We have natural products in the shop. I'm very particular. I'm like crazy about labels. I read everything. Everybody gets really bugged at me because I won't, like, maybe bring in a product and I'm like, no, I read the label. I don't like it. So there you go. Yeah. So we're really particular about what we have. So it's not huge in the amount of products, but we have a very high quality.
That's awesome. I love that. Do you want to share with us a little bit about how you kind of came into this wellness industry in the first place, and then how you came in contact initially with ZYTO and how that's worked for you?
Sure. Well, as I think for most people that are in this industry, it was due to a health reason. I was going in my 30s and starting down that road of everything hurt, and I ate well. I thought I did, at least. I exercised, and I was just having a lot of health issues. And when the last doctor visit I had, they wanted to start on anti-inflammatories. I thought, I need to stop that route and take a little more control about what I'm doing. So I started really looking into herbs and natural healing. I actually sold trees for 17 years, which everybody thinks that's really funny, but that's what I did. And so it's been a complete turnaround for me. I traveled the whole state and worked with landscape contractors and developers and landscape architects, and I sold trees. And when the market crashed, so we all know, so did the construction industry. And so it was a time I decided either I can try to stick it out or kind of reinvent myself, do something else I wanted to do. So this is what I decided to do. I just threw myself into it, started studying. I actually was an intern at the Claremont Herb Shop at the time with the previous owner, and worked there a little bit, decided that I'd like to have my own shop. So I opened a smaller one with my sister in Leesburg, which is just about 45 minutes away. And then I had an opportunity to buy the Claremont shop. So I bought the Claremont shop, sold the Leesburg shop to my sister, and then that's how I got in the business. Then through time, went back to school, did the Master Herbalist program, did my doctorate in naturopathy. State of Florida doesn't recognize the doctorate itself, so I can't call myself a naturopathic doctor. But I did it more for my own education. And now what I do all the time, I listen to webinars and training and all that. But going back to ZYTO, when I first started, I was still selling trees, and I wanted to do this. So the first tool I ever got was the ZYTO. It's the only thing I had. I had my computer with my ZYTO, and I went to fairs, and I had a good connection with a lot of businesses. So I went into their places, did lunch and learns, and that's how I educated myself really with the products. And I use the ZYTO as my tool.
That's
and
awesome.
I still use it. We upgraded a few years ago to the Balance. I love it. I'm looking at maybe going up higher. We'll see how that goes. Looking at right now, but yeah, it's been a great tool for us. And like I said, it's not diagnostic, but boy, does it give you it gives you a good start. It makes you think about some things maybe you didn't see before. I think all of us kind of tend to just stay within what we know. And sometimes having a product come up, you go, oh, I don't know what is that about? And so you look it up and you go, that makes a lot of sense. So it kind of gets you out of that comfort zone, I guess what I'm trying to say.
I love that. And I appreciate what you said, that like ZYTO is just a tool that you use to better leverage the knowledge base that you've learned through webinars and experiences through the years. So I love that a lot. Okay, well that's awesome. I hope that today, as we kind of get this started, that everyone takes advantage. We have the opportunity to have questions throughout. So if you're a live attendee and you actually go to on the right-hand side of the panel for GoToWebinar, there's a place for questions. We do have moderators here in studio with us that are going to be passing questions over to Tina, that we can hopefully get to as many as possible throughout. So this is interactive. We hope that you take advantage of that, of asking questions and things. So without further ado, I'm going to actually turn the time over to Tina and let her kind of take the reins, and we'll be having a great conversation. Appreciate it, Tina.
One of the challenges I had as I started seeing as I was getting into my 40s and mid 40s, that things started changing, and I, as far as my body was concerned, started having weight where I never had weight before, and hormones were going through some crazy things, and I started really on a search of what was going on. But one of the things that I really noticed was that I was having a very difficult time with fats and trying to emulsify, digest fats. And I couldn't figure out what that was about. I tried the keto diet and it was terrible. I gained weight and I felt bloated. I was miserable. And I thought, well, everybody does this. This is great. You're supposed to be able to do this. But I couldn't do it. So I started looking into what was going on and really found out that there's this huge connection with the gallbladder and liver and bile. And this particular Anne Louise Gittleman she goes way back to Pritikin, which basically they supported the low-fat, high-carb diet, and she was back then even saying, I don't think this is the right thing. I think we're missing it. So she's been a pioneer in really getting rid of the demonizing of fats and making it so that we understand that fats are much better. But not everybody can do fats or eat fats, consume them, because of the problem we're having with our gallbladder, liver, and the bile. So this particular book, although in the end she gives great recipes and great things to do, but in the very beginning you'll get some great information on the gallbladder, the liver, the bile, the connection with all of that, and some things that you can do to really support the hormones. So I thought everybody might be interested in that. So a lot of the information and what I've learned from since then has come from her and many other ones. So the first thing obviously I have to do is my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose or treat any disease, and we're doing this as educational purposes. And when we're looking at the biliary tree and this whole system, basically it's the liver, gallbladder, but you do have the pancreas does have some, some things in there that connects to that. So we'll talk a bit about that as we move forward. So basically the biliary system, they call it the tract, the tree, the system, but it refers to the liver, gallbladder, and the bile ducts and how they work together to make, store, and secrete bile. And really prior to this, I didn't know what bile was. So, and since then I found that it's connected with so many things and really just a huge component with trying to improve your health. So, but bile basically consists of water, electrolytes, bile acids, cholesterol, the phospholipids, and conjugated bilirubin. So the biliary tract refers to the path by which bile is secreted by the liver. It's then transported to the duodenum, and then which is the first part of the small intestine. The biliary tract is often referred to as a tree because it begins with small branches which end in the common bile duct, and that's sometimes referred to as the trunk of the biliary tree. When bile is secreted by the liver into the small ducts that join to form the common hepatic duct. And then between meals, if you have a gallbladder, which we'll talk a little bit about that, the secreted bile is stored in the gallbladder. And then the bile is secreted from the gallbladder into the duodenum to alkalize the chyme, and that happens when we eat. The body sends that signal to release the bile to alkalize the chyme, and it also is mixed at that point with the pancreatic fluids to help with the digestion. And the chyme is also the bile is also ridding the body of waste stored in the bile and aids in absorption of dietary fats and oils. You can see there's a lot going on there. So for our first question, I wanted to just very briefly, we're going to talk about digestion, but I like to ask you, where do you think digestion actually begins?
Got 94% saying mouth, 3% small intestine, and 3% stomach.
Well, most people were right. It starts in the mouth. That's exactly right. And we'll talk about that. So digestion 101, digestion begins in the mouth. So basically, it's interesting because even just sight, seeing a food can start the digestive juices. Sometimes even just hearing the word, if someone says lemon or pickle, you know how you automatically start getting that sensation. But the carbohydrates basically begin to be digested in the mouth, and those are completed in the small intestines. Fats do not begin to be digested. We do say emulsified, but until the small intestine, and that's after being mixed with the bile salts from the liver and gallbladder and the pancreas. The proteins are broken down into amino acids as a result of hydrochloric acid and pepsin in the stomach and pancreatic enzymes in the small intestine. And then the digested food, which we term as chyme, exits the stomach and goes into the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine. And because mucus protection is not present in the duodenum after the opening to the common bile duct, that's why the chyme is mixed because it's very alkalized. And so along with the pancreatic juices, basically that does that to neutralize it so it can continue through the digestion. If that does not take place, then that's when you get the chyme that continues going to be very acid. So after the duodenum, the remainder of the small intestine, that's the site for the final breakdown of food substances, their absorption into the blood, which is carried to the liver, and then also your lymphatic fluids. The intestinal villi and the microvilli increase the surface area by more than 500 times. So it allows the efficient absorption of nutrients. When the fluids leave the small intestine, almost all the nutrients have been absorbed at that point. So when this process is completed, the final part of the digestion takes place in the large intestine, which is basically comprised of the cecum, colon, and the rectum. And as it shows here, the colon is about 5 feet long and changes the liquid digestive waste products into a more solid form for elimination. So that's, in a perfect world, that's how it works. But as we all know, and anyone that's in the natural health industry knows that most of the issues we have today really start in the gut. And so we have a lot of problems in this area and with this whole process. And that's the reason that we're getting a lot of the symptoms and the illnesses that we are. Mm-hmm. So what I like to talk about is the drainage pathway. So this is real important because if you think of it as a funnel and you look at the top part, this is how the waste and everything is coming through our bodies, or the nutrients. And it really is very important that that bottom of the funnel is open, and it's open all the way up to the top in order for everything to work properly. So at the bottom of the funnel, we have the colon. So obviously, if the colon is not functioning, if we're not having good bowel movements, then you can see from this that everything up above it won't happen. So we do a lot with making sure that the bowels are working. Hydration has a lot to do with that, but obviously how we're digesting and what we're eating. So there's a lot of things that go into that. The next step up is your liver, bile, and kidney. So the kidney is also important for the hydration of colon, but basically this area right here is where we're really, this is where things are happening as far as your toxins, the elimination and getting a lot of the waste out. So we're making sure that the liver has over 500 things it does. And you've already heard a little bit about the bile. We're going to hear a little bit more about both of those. So you're going to see how important those are, but to things above that. But once again, if the colon is not moving, then all of this waste gets reabsorbed into the body, and that's how we get very toxic. Above that, we go into the lymphatic system, and then the organs, tissues, and that includes the brain. And they're calling the lymphatic system in the brain actually the glymphatic system. So that's all part of it, making sure that we're getting things out from there as well, and then all the way down to the cells. So you can see how important it is. We have a lot of layers there that make sure that we have to have these all open and working. A lot of people will come in and just say, hey, I need to detox. I need to do a bowel cleanse. And there's just so much more involved when you start to detox. That's why a lot of people get a lot of symptoms if they're trying to do some cleansing, if they don't make sure that all of these pathways are open. So when I do a program, the first thing we do is we work on drainage pathway systems. Once I know those are flowing and things are working properly, then we'll actually go in and we may start working on parasites, viral, those types of things, that heavy metals, pesticides. We really can't go after any of those things until we know that these are open and flowing properly. And so how do we know if our pathways may need drainage support? I would say for the most part, that's the place you should always start. There are very few people that have all of their systems flowing exactly the way they should. So it's really a good idea to take those pathways and work on that. But one of the ways that I can really tell is with ZYTO. So when I do I run a scan, and when I come in there, if I see that the detoxification system is out of balance, and a lot of times this is actually not as bad. I see usually detoxification system is way across the other side, and the gastrointestinal system is close behind. But if you look down here, you'll see the gallbladder is out of range. You've got the liver out of range. And so those are some good indicators that we need to do. We need to do some more upstream work before we can do the downstream work. And it really plays into where I don't really look at, I look at symptoms, but it's not we don't treat symptoms. That's not what we do. We look at what's maybe causing those symptoms and go back upstream and try to figure out what we can do to help open up the pathways. and help the body to balance itself out.
Tina, really fast, going back to that a couple slides ago on the drainage pathways, we just had a question regarding where does the gallbladder fit into this picture here?
That's the liver bile. The gallbladder is where the bile. Yeah, the liver, it'd be liver, gallbladder, kidney.
Okay.
Yeah. So right
Awesome,
there.
Thank you.
We put bile because unfortunately right now, one of the number one surgeries done in the United States today is gallbladder surgery.
Yeah.
So I actually have a lot of people who don't have gallbladders anymore, which makes it a whole different story. It makes it a lot more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go here. So first thing up we're going to talk about is the liver. And your liver represents the body's primary filtration system. It is one of the largest organs in the body. It's the only organ that can rebuild itself. So basically up to 75% can be damaged and it can regenerate. It converts toxins into waste. Now, I'm telling you a few things because like I said, it does 500 things. We're not going to list all of them. These are the main things that just to give you an overview. So cleaning up the blood, metabolizes nutrients, produces bile, and it's the most prevalent liver disease today is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And when I was looking into this, basically 30% of the general population and 70% of obese individuals have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And I'm certainly seeing a lot more people coming in with that diagnosis. And you may ask, why is that? Well, one of the things is that a high intake of fructose, especially the high fructose corn syrup. And our liver immediately converts fructose into fat. And it also leaves behind a trail of toxic metabolites, uric acid being one of them. It's much like that generated from the metabolism of alcohol. But on the also, it's going to be because of the fact that we're having such a hard time with emulsifying fats, and when fats aren't utilized in the system, they're stored. So we're seeing a lot more of this diagnosis of the non-alcoholic fatty liver, and we are working, we have several things that we do to work on that to help someone move past that. So many of the substances taken in by the liver are exclusively fat soluble, so they make them much harder for the liver to metabolize. So going back to that, so we have to make sure that we're really efficiently emulsifying those fats and moving them through the body. And we'll get a little bit further into to tell you why the fats are so important. But when this occurs, the toxins, they'll cling to fatty cells and membranes, and they could stay in your body for days, weeks, or years. Also, when you have toxins, remember we go back to where I was saying that if the colon isn't working, your liver is detoxifying, but it's being reabsorbed. Those toxins, because they cling to the fatty cells, they're being stored. And I see a lot of times people decide to get healthy and they start losing weight and they start feeling really bad. A lot of that's because a lot of those toxins are being released back into the body. So we have to make sure those pathways are open, the bowels are working, and we're getting able to, we're taking some binders to help to bind to those toxins so they won't keep getting reabsorbed. So we do a lot of work with binders to help, and when I talk about binders, charcoal will be one and clay, but I'm working with another company right now that's a little bit different, and it's a different type of binder that I like real well. And there are basically 3 phases to the liver detox. We're not going to get into a lot of detail because it's quite complicated. You could do a whole webinar just on that.
On that, right?
Yeah, just on that alone. The basics of it, though, is phase 1, you turn the toxins basically into more toxic substances in order to process them. Then the toxins are neutralized so the body can handle them. And then they're excreted, the neutralized toxins, so they can be removed from the body. And they excrete to several places, but the main area is into the bile. So you can see how we keep going back to that bile as being really, really important for our detoxification process. And this is just like I said, a quick overview of kind of how that works and all the different, like the methylations, all the glutathione, those types of things that the way that the liver works to take care of those phases. So my second question is, do we need our gallbladder? I just told you that we have gallbladder surgery is the most, is one of the most frequently performed abdominal surgeries in the United States. So do we need our gallbladder? It's a useless organ and it's expendable, or yes, we can live without it, but our health is greatly affected by its loss.
Oh, wow. We got a smart audience with us today. 98% say yes, our health is greatly affected by it. The other 2% on the other side.
And you're right. We can live without it, but it really puts you at a serious disadvantage for proper digestion and detoxification if you don't have it. I always tell everybody, there's no mistakes in our body. An organ wasn't put there just so that you could just don't have to, it's just kind of there. It's not really, doesn't have a purpose. They all have purposes that we can live without them, but doesn't mean that it's the best choice that we can make. Now, there are sometimes we have to have it taken out, and we understand that, but hopefully, if we're being very proactive, we can definitely make some changes to hopefully make sure that at least our gallbladder, we can hang on to it. So this is this goes into more, we're going to go into the gallbladder now, and understanding that your gallbladder is basically a storage tank for the bile. And as we're going through this, you'll understand why it's so important that we have that storage tank, because there's a point in time when the bile needs to be excreted and released. But if it's not released at that particular time, then certain things can happen. So basically, your gallbladder and the bile, so the bile is stored in the gallbladder until it's needed. It's released to carry away toxins from the liver. It's released to neutralize chyme, and it's going to be released to emulsify fats. And studies show that healthy bile flow improves your thyroid function, boosts your metabolism, and can even accelerate your weight loss. So the hypothyroidism is 7 times more likely in people with reduced bile flow. And bile acid boosts thyroid activity. So when bile is released, it triggers the release of an enzyme that converts T4 to T3. So your dietary fats supply our bodies with the raw materials needed to produce active thyroid hormones. So really it follows that poor fat digestion will lower thyroid levels. They did a study, and they actually showed the direct connection between the bile and thyroid issues. So thyroid hormone also relaxes the sphincter of Oddi, which controls the flow of bile into the small intestine. So if your thyroid hormone levels are low, the sphincter tenses up and less bile can pass, which increases the risk of gallstones and lower detoxification, emulsify fats. So you can see how this all kind of goes together. So it's quite interesting how much the bile actually affects a lot of different things. Also, some more information on it. The bile deficiency is especially common for people over 60. We always hate to hear all this stuff, but as we age, we make less hydrochloric acid in our stomachs, but we also, our bile becomes more sludgy, if you will, and the efficiency of it is much lower. Digestion will be affected. So basically what happens, if there's not enough bile to neutralize the chyme when it's coming out, the body thinks it needs to reduce the production of hydrochloric acid. So you know how we always hear that you have over acid in the stomach? Well, a lot of us know now it's not over acid, it's under acid. So we'll kind of wonder, why is that happening? Well, it could be happening in this particular case because if the bile's not there to neutralize it, the body's like, well, we need to reduce our production of hydrochloric acid because we don't have enough bile to neutralize the chyme coming out. So you can see how that starts to happen. So we want to make sure that we have the stomach acid to digest, but we've got to make sure we have the bile to be able to neutralize it as coming out. And so what happens if you don't have a gallbladder, the bile is still produced by the liver, but it can't be stored. So it may or may not be excreted when you need it. It's going to be constantly being excreted by the liver. So it's a hit or miss. It might be excreted at the time that the body needs to do it for the neutralizing the chyme, but then it may miss that altogether. So you can start seeing where you're getting a lot of issues with digestion at that point. You need and you've got to be able to, the body has to be able to neutralize the chyme, but it also has to be able to break down the fats, because our fats, we need them to make hormones. We need them to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins, the A, E, D, and K. If the bile becomes sluggish or sludgy, toxins can be recirculated, and then it's going to clog up other pathways and congesting those. So once again, you can start to see that really the bile is very important for many, many functions in the body, and making sure that these things are taking place. But we get into, the questions of kind of how are we able to clean up the bile or get it to work better, and we're going to talk about that. Some of the common symptoms of low quality bile, the queasiness after fatty meals, which was what I was experiencing. They could be light colored or floating stools. You can have some nausea, start getting dry skin and hair. Constipation can result. The constant feeling of fullness, that was the other thing. I was just feeling really bloated after I ate a lot of fats. Couldn't lose weight. I was exercising like crazy and nothing was happening. The bloating or gas, you have headaches over the eyes, you have some sensitivity to chemicals. And a lot of people just relate it back to digestion, which this is part of digestion, but it actually goes further back and goes more into the bile, and it not processing those fats very well and not getting a lot of the toxins out. So we have some tools for desludging the bile, and we're going to talk about those here. So some of the ones we're going to talk about are ox bile, bitters and supplements, coffee enemas, dandelion root, castor oil packing, and lemon water. So the first one we talk about are the ox bile or bile salts. These provide essential bile salts for those with low bile production or without gallbladders. Pretty much if you don't have a gallbladder, you need to be taking a supplement. You need to be taking ox bile salts. You could do the lipase, high lipase, the high lipase, that helps as well. But you take it with food, and that's going to help with the emulsification of the fats in the food. Also, bitters. So we've kind of lost our taste for bitter food. These are going to be eaten before a meal to activate bile production. So we're talking like dandelion, arugula, watercress. We have 4 basic tastes, and they're sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. And most people can relate to sweet and salty. That's kind of what we know these days. That's all our foods. And the bitter and the sour are just typically not consumed. People don't like the taste of them. But they do help stimulate the bile, and they promote digestion. So just increasing and incorporating these back into our diets, reducing the sweet and salty. But you'll see a lot of fennel is in this group, and I know a lot of countries you'll see they'll eat fennel prior to a meal or after a meal, and that's what helps with the digestion. So just bringing in some of these will help that as well. And there are bitters that you can buy already blended in liquid form that you can do as well. So beetroot is a rich source of the plant compound betaine, which helps thin the bile. It also can help prevent with the formation of gallstones. Choline. The choline helps your body break down and digest fat. So it's also involved in many other processes such as lipid transport, liver repair, nerve conductivity, brain development, and cognition. It helps control the deposition of fat in our organs, especially the liver. So if you're looking at non-alcoholic fatty liver, this would be a good one to incorporate. Some sources in food are beef, almonds, cauliflower, navy beans, and amaranth. Then we have taurine, and taurine aids the detoxification, promotes increased bile acid production, reduces cholesterol levels in the blood and the liver. A lot of vegans, vegetarians are typically deficient because it is derived from the organ meats and other animal tissues, so sometimes you really have to supplement with that as well. And then we have the pancreatic lipase, which helps break down fats as a digestive enzyme. So coffee enemas, a lot of people don't like to talk about enemas, but I gotta tell you, the more I looked into this, the more intrigued I was about what these do. And basically bile is, as far as energy-wise, it's very expensive for the body to make it. So the body tends to recycle it. And when it continues to be recycled, it becomes stagnant. Toxins can be reabsorbed back into the body. So the stagnant bile can clog drainage pathways, back up other systems. So the coffee enema is actually used to help detoxify the body and open up the bile duct system. It flushes the stagnant bile from the liver and the gallbladder. So it's different than a regular enema. And we won't go into all the details, but if anyone is interested, they want to email me. I've got a couple of really good sites for more information on these. But coffee enemas boost glutathione as transferase by up to 700%. Which is one of the body's, obviously the glutathione is the body's master antioxidant involved in many different phases of detoxification. They basically work because the hemorrhoidal vein is in the descending colon, and it goes right into the portal system via the hepatic portal vein. So basically the way coffee enemas work is they go straight to the liver and detoxifies the liver. So that's basically what the coffee enemas do. They work with the liver and the bile. So every 6 minutes, all your blood goes through your liver to be detoxified. When you have a coffee enema, it actually shortens the time to about 3 minutes. So you're able to really really improve detoxification. The coffee enemas were first used in World War II. What happened was they used to do water enemas for the soldiers getting ready to have operations, but they ran out of water. So a nurse decided to use coffee. It was there. It's all they had. Well, when it was over, the soldier reported that his pain reduction was down, and it actually worked really well. So they started using the procedure more and found that it was very, very effective. Most recently, it was introduced by Max Gerson, and a lot of people know the Gerson therapy, does a lot of therapies with cancer therapy and that type of thing, and he uses them very extensively in his protocols. I read in one place that they do 5 times a day. I'm not sure about that, but that's part of their protocol. They were actually even mentioned as a means to detoxify the body in the Merck Manual of Medical Diagnosis, which is a very widely used medical reference book. And that was in there until very recently when it was removed. And obviously it's speculated that it's more because of the involvement of the pharmaceuticals. So understand that it's been around a long time and used, and it's very effective. Your dandelion root helps bile production and movement, contains flavonoids that help flush toxins. It also helps kidney drainage. It also can help with liver decongestion as well. So this is the root part of it, but actually eating the greens, that helps to do the bile production as well, activate bile. For people
Tina, really quick.
Sure.
There was a question dealing with these coffee enemas. I mean, I know that you alluded directly to the reduction in time for the blood circulation through the liver, right?
Uh-huh.
How long does that take? Is that like an immediate benefit, or is that over time of doing coffee enemas?
No, it's immediate. When they're done, they said right after, that's when that increase of the glutathione, and now how long that lasts, I don't know, but it is an immediate effect.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. There's a lot. Like I said, I could have done a whole thing just on coffee enemas if you let me, because I was like really intrigued by them. But it's there's a lot of healing properties, to what can happen when you do that. And you have to use a very particular type of coffee. It's not just, you just can't go buy coffee. And there's a whole protocol to that. And like I said, anyone who's interested, I've got some really good links for that I'd be happy to share.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. Now, for those of people who don't want to do coffee enemas or don't have the time or just even want to do some added benefit, the castor oil packing also works. So because castor oil is very drawing, so it's a great poultice. You want to make sure you buy the hexane-free organic castor oil. But you take that and you can add some essential oils if you want to. Some of the ones that are particularly good for the liver are the lemon, ginger, grapefruit, fennel, peppermint, orange, bergamot. All of those you can add some to that, the castor oil, and you put that over the liver gallbladder area, which is right under the rib cage on the right side. You're going to cover that with a cloth, and then you put like a plastic wrap around to hold it in place, and then put a heating pad on top. And some people do it for 30 minutes. You could do it longer if you want to, an hour, whatever you have time for. But what that's going to do is that's going to put those, especially the oils, right into that area and help with the liver and the gallbladder, as far as the cleansing, the bile portion of it. So you get some benefit from that as well. And this is one of my favorites. This is probably the easiest. I try to get all of my clients to do this because I've been doing this for years, and it's made a world of difference. Basically, when you first get up in the morning, what do most people do? Well, anyone who drinks coffee or even tea.
It's a coffee run.
It's the first thing you do. Well, unfortunately, what's been happening is all night long you're detoxifying. So when you wake up, you're dehydrated and you're toxic and you're very acidic. So the last thing you want to do is drink a cup of coffee, which is very acidic and dehydrating. So what you need to do is you at the least drink water. But if you add the organic lemon to it, now I'm lazy. I buy the organic lemon juice because for me to go get organic lemons all the time, cut them up and squeeze them, I just don't do it. But I get the organic lemon juice. I put that into usually warm or room temperature filter water, about 16 ounces. And then I drink that first thing in the morning. And basically what you're doing is going to help flush the liver and the kidneys. It's going to help alkalize the body, and it's going to help hydrate the body. Now, most people think, well, lemons are acidic. Well, they are on the outside, but on the inside, they're very alkalizing. So it's just a really simple, cheap, easy way to just get a good flush first thing in the morning. Flush that through. I usually tell people, wait, give it 30 minutes, and then you can go have your coffee or tea and do whatever you do from them that moving forward. But really try to wake up and you cleanse that body out and give an opportunity to get rid of some of those toxins that hopefully it's been doing, detoxing all night long. So there's a good, what's the question is, what is good health? And to me, good health is having no fatigue, having a good appetite, going to sleep and wakening easily, having good memory, having good sense of humor, having precision in thought and action, being honest, grateful, and loving. And so I will ask the question, how healthy are you? And that's it.
I love that. We should have had that as a poll question.
Yeah, I should have, right? That would have been a long one to answer, though.
Yeah, I know, right? No, that's good. I really appreciate that. There's kind of a couple questions I want to throw at you based on what these last couple of slides. One of the questions was, can these castor oil packs be done with a client without a gallbladder?
Oh, sure. Because the liver is still producing bile. It has to, because you have to have bile. So it's still going to help decongest the liver. In fact, it probably doing the coffee enemas and doing the those types of things are even more important without a gallbladder, because at least with the gallbladder, it's storing it and it's releasing when it's supposed to, but this way the liver's just constantly releasing it, and it really doesn't have any place for it to go. So it really is a good idea either way.
Okay, cool. The other question I had was about, can we use lemon oil instead of fresh lemon?
You know, personally, I'm just not a big proponent of using essential oils internally, but there are people who do. So I would just, take it with whatever you're comfortable with. So I don't do that, but it's not, I have heard, some people do.
That other people do that, sure. No, that's totally fine. I mean, vinegar was another question. Is that something that you've heard or done before, using vinegar?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that.
Okay.
Lemon works a little differently. The vinegar is also alkalizing. But you can do either. I mean, anything you want to, as far as when you first get up, just make sure that, I don't know that the vinegar though has as much of a liver and kidney cleansing as the lemon does.
Okay.
I think the vinegar is going to be more alkalizing.
Interesting.
I think, it's not one that I use typically. The lemon just really, if you look through historically, it's been used for a very long time to do that. And usually I use the vinegar to help with more the alkalizing portion of it.
Very cool. I think this is great. So last question. We have had, by the way, just a ton of questions pouring in. So I'm trying to get to as many as possible. But last question. How often do you recommend doing a coffee enema?
That's up to the individual. And I usually tell people it depends on you. How healthy are you? Are you eating very well? Are you cleansing? It's going to be an individual thing. Some people will do them once a week, some maybe once a month, some do them every day. At the Gerson therapy, like I said, they do 5 a day. And of course, we're looking at very specific things there, but a couple times a week, even once a week, whatever you're comfortable with. But I don't think there's like a maximum or a minimum. You want to do it a little more frequently to make sure that you're getting a good benefit from them.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah. Hey, so there's, like I said, there's just been a ton of questions coming in. Tina, thank you for your presentation. This was like so informative. Everyone has a homework assignment that tomorrow morning when you wake up and you start craving that morning coffee, you need to do your lemon water. That's what everyone needs to do.
That's it. First thing. And trust me, you'll just feel so much better. I do it every month. Even when I travel, I do it. It's hard sometimes getting my lemon water where I want it, but I do try.
It's awesome. Yeah, so everyone watching, you need to do that. Give it a try. Let's do this together. So that'll be great. Our next slide right here, Tina has been super gracious in offering some of her personal information to share with you. So any of these questions, if you have, she mentioned that she has additional information or resources regarding the coffee enemas, reach out to her. It's tina@claremontherbshop.com. And obviously her website is right there below, www.claremontherbshop.com. So be sure to reach out to her. Thank you, Tina, for making yourself available. Today's presentation was awesome as well. Thank you for your time. I learned a ton. I'm sitting here going, I need to go have lemon water right now. But I know tomorrow morning, I can tell you that's what I'll be doing. So.
All right, I'm going to check on you. I'm going to make sure of it.
Hey, do it. I love it. I love the accountability. So. We wanted to make an announcement about the winner of our wellness challenge this last month, and the winner is Barbara Gaston from Austin, Texas. You can see her picture right there, as well as some of the other entries we had from this last month. I mentioned this earlier in the webinar. Visit ZYTO.com/wellness-challenge, and that has all the information about how you can participate with us. Next month, we want your guys' pictures here. So make sure you're doing it. It's super easy. We want to make it very enjoyable. You're probably doing a lot of these things anyway. It's just literally a matter of taking a picture and submitting it over to us. And like I said, next month, we will be giving away a pair of Apple AirPods. So that's an awesome value to have. A final reminder, be sure if we're trying to make these ZYTO regional events as accessible as possible because we know they're super valuable. Whether you're a current user, you're wanting to learn more about some of the products that we offer, Tina was awesome to allude to that there's a lot of really cool features that are a part of ZYTO technology and helping maybe identify some course of action. And really it's, based on the knowledge base of a practitioner to be able to identify some of these things, but ZYTO can help in those areas. So these are great times to get together, ask questions about how our technology can benefit you. Be sure to visit ZYTO.com to register online. They're free to attend. Invite your friends, all that stuff. They're really fun. We'll be in DC, like I said, in a couple of weeks, so it'll be good. Our June specials we actually just announced. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. ZYTO Balance for the promotion that we're running for the month of June is really awesome. We're actually doubling the value of a referral bonus, essentially. So normally our referral bonus program for the ZYTO Balance is you get a $100 value check that we send. We're increasing that to include an additional 2 months of subscription for free for the month of June. So if you're normally someone that's out there referring people to ZYTO, be sure to take advantage of this, because this could add up to be a lot of money. Get rid of that monthly subscription that you have to pay normally to have access to the software. It's a huge value add. So be sure to take care of that. If you're someone like Tina that's possibly looking to upgrade into an upper end software like our Select or Elite, the promotion for this month is on our Elite system. And we actually want to include a free laptop with every purchase of a ZYTO Elite system. So sometimes technology is kind of a pain to make sure you always have the up-to-date PC laptop to make sure you run the cleanest version of our ZYTO software. We want to take that issue out and provide you with a free laptop. So that's the promotion for this month. Reach out to our sales team. They're super happy to answer any questions. Make sure that you have what you need to be successful in helping others achieve wellness. Our next wellness webinar will be, we normally have our wellness webinars on the first Wednesday of every month, but since that kind of lands right next to the 4th of July, we opted to push that back a week. So the next one will be on July 10th, same time, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It'll be discussing holistic solutions for common sleeping issues. And we actually have Dr. Michael Bennett, who will be joining us here in studio, here in Utah, and he'll be sharing some awesome insights for that. We hope you can join us for it. Like I said, just be sure to register. We'll be sending up follow-up emails to this webinar with the video clips of today for everyone that registered for today's webinar. So be sure to at least register for the next one, so that even if you can't attend with us live, that you can receive the follow-up email as well. And once again, we just want to thank Tina for her time and her effort. This is a lot of work that goes into these. And so it's not for the faint of heart, Tina. You did it.
I know. I was really nervous about it.
No, you did great. This is awesome, and we appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's here in attendance. If you're watching this after the fact, we hope that you can join us live next time. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Hopefully at one of our ZYTO regional events, but we'll see you soon. Take care.